Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode where we go beyond the highlight reels, dig into real stories, strategies, and struggles that shape successful entrepreneurs. And I couldn't think of a better way to kick this show off than with today's guest, Nikhil Sai. Nikhil Sai is the CEO of Funneling Media and an entrepreneur who has built his business from ground up by mastering one of the most important skills in business, that is sales and marketing. And in this conversation, we will dive into Nikhil's journey, the failures that shaped his philosophy, and the lessons he's learned about resilience, mindset, building a business that doesn't just generate revenue, but also creates freedom. Hi, Nick, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Seher. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun.
Awesome. So, for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us your story and how did you end up doing what you're doing right now?
So, yeah, it's a big story, and I'll cut it short just for some context. I'm born in India. That's my original place, and for the 18 years of my life, I was just living the most average Indian life, and then I discovered entrepreneurship through some books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was making fun of the people who got that book for themselves, and then I realized like, oh, this book actually has the real truth, which is every life problem I have technically, which is the unsolvable problem, is indirectly related to some kind of financial gain. So I realized like having finances done right can probably solve most of the problems in life. So then I shifted my mind into like, okay, how can I make the most of it? Then there was few different options like studying well and getting a job. The other option was like becoming an entrepreneur. So I kind of tried that studying well, and didn't really see the scope in it. And I was trying to be an engineer and I had decent grades in my diploma and whatnot, but didn't really see a way for me to pass out as a mechanical engineer and follow that path. But luckily then COVID happened, and I was 19 back then, and I really like went deep into entrepreneurship, and I found real good mentors, and that helped me to kickstart my marketing agency. And at a very young age, with that business, with the demand for the funnels, I was able to start my company, Funneling Media, and that allowed me to generate millions in revenue and help my clients generate millions and millions in revenue. And that's what all the awards behind me about. And from there I was able to build my business, make millions of dollars, move to Dubai, travel the world, speak on stages, win the awards, walk the awards, speak at masterminds, and I'm speaking very soon in Bali in front of 3,000 people. It's pretty fun.
Nice.
Been doing this for the last 5 years now.
Awesome. Amazing. So, what do you think sets you apart as an 18-year-old from all the other 18-year-olds back then who might be in a similar position than you were, but they chose a very different path? So, what do you think that Nick at 18, how was he different from everybody else?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and especially for somebody young or who is feeling stuck, would probably resonate with the situation, which is we are built, especially from tier two, tier three countries, right? We are
Hmm.
very much built with a ecosystem around us, right? Like we are not super individualized. We don't have our own thoughts. We are typically surrounded by family, friends, and relations, who we kind of bound ourselves up to. So we already create a shell around us, like, okay, this is who I am. This is how I should live my life. This is what my parents expect out of me. This is my life. I'm getting married by this time. I'll graduate by this time. I'll have kids by this time. I'll probably buy a house on loan by this time, right? Like that's the typical life we aim for. The first thing I was able to do successfully is acquire new knowledge, and I think that's something outside the traditional education. So through books,
Hmm.
through online, education, through investing in courses and mentors, and even watching free content on YouTube. Honestly, I used to listen to a lot of Gary Vee type of motivation, like hustle now, grind hard type of thing. And I kind of really came to a conclusion of like nobody's really standing for you in your life, like even though it feels like it's your responsibility. And the conclusion I came to is like I have to fix this myself. So if nobody else is fixing it for me, why would I give them the control over my life? So I came to a conclusion that I will stop giving a very big F of what other people are thinking about me and project about what I should do in my life with their thoughts. And I was like, okay, like I'll just not worry about your thoughts. I'll just do my thing, and I'll just like not yet let your thoughts create my reality. And that was the biggest mental shift that allowed me to care less about what other people think, really go in my own way and set apart and like quit college and do my own things and whatnot. So that's probably the first, like learn self education and outside the traditional place, and then really stop thinking about what other people care about you, and how you should live your life.
I think that's amazing. I think a lot of young entrepreneurs have been in that similar mindset where they start off by caring a lot about what other people have to say about them or think about them. And then there's this realization moment when you realize, like, I am answerable to no one but myself, right? And for a lot of young entrepreneurs looking up to inspirational people like Gary Vee, including yourself, that helps a lot because it helps us carve a path out for ourselves as well. If they can do it, then surely we can do it as well. But I'm sure like the last 4 5 years have not been easy, right? What is that one dark place in your business journey, in your entrepreneurship journey, that really stands out for you, where it was a pivotal moment, whether you would choose path A or choose path B, and what did you do to overcome that dark moment?
Sure. I mean, like you mentioned, right? Like from outside, if you look at my Instagram and me just walking stages and speaking and getting these awards, kind of all feels like, oh, fairy tale, right? Like he's just winning back to back.
Yeah.
But like you said, there is a lot of setbacks, in entrepreneurship, and I almost like experience a setback every day. I'm pretty sure I'm very ready for what's happening today as well. So first thing, like when you're trying to become an entrepreneur or live this life, then expect that and normalize that. Like that's a part of, like, losing is a part of winning, so we have to get that in our head. And I see most people who actually quit entrepreneurship early is because they can't deal with failure. And luckily I built that muscle, and I beyond past that situation overall. But one unique situation I remember very well is I kind of got into a situation where I was helping my clients make a lot of money, and I was decently making enough for my own agency and whatnot. And I had a huge office with like a lot of people and whatnot. And I got into a mental emotion that okay, like I can touch anything and it turns gold. And especially when you're young and you have that feeling, you kind of go crazy and do stuff that you shouldn't be doing. So I built a bunch of software companies. I've invested in some companies which I shouldn't have invested in, like diversified too quickly and got like distracted from my original business. And I had to make a choice, like okay, like I'm trying to build these other businesses. I've lost $500,000. Should I keep doing that, or should I actually focus on what got me here, which is the marketing agency, the client, the results, and let's just focus on this side and double down. And like I've heard one of my mentors say this very well, which is like, Nick, chop your finger before it comes to a situation where you have to chop your hand. So I was like, okay, and I have to let go of my finger right now, otherwise it would just spread all over. So cut those businesses and came back into this and just focused overall. And yeah, those beginner mistakes, but from a situation and emotional standpoint, like just losing significant amount of money that you hard earn. I mean, for perspective, that's a lot of revenue that I've generated in other companies, that I've diversified into different things, which became distractions. And kind of that was like, after that I kind of built some more scrutiny around like how I'm investing and how I'm building businesses and whatnot. But I think it's just a lesson. I wish I haven't done that, but I believe that mistake I would have probably done it much older, where I would have lost much more money. I'm glad I've done it younger and lost 500,000. Doesn't matter anymore,
Yep, absolutely. Like you said, like failing and losing is part of the game of winning, right? You mentioned mentors quite a lot in the last couple of minutes. What kind of impact has that had on your personal life and also on the business life?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? You know what you know, right? I mean, as a 18-year-old guy who is not even like graduating, who dropped out, what do I know? Like transparently, right?
Hmm.
Like really nothing, other than few languages and some basic math. That's what I got from school, if I really understand it clearly. So everything I learned in business was from mentors. And when I mean mentors, I'm not talking about somebody physically sitting down and teaching. I'm talking about books. I'm talking about online content. I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about courses, coaching, one-on-one mentorship, group mentorship, programs, masterminds, any type of investment, even friends who are in the similar line of business where you exchange ideas, and podcast. That's my way of actual
Hmm.
mentorship. So like just like how you are selfishly asking your questions about your business, I've done this with 200 people, so I know the importance of it. And that's one of the reasons when you invited me, I was like, I'm definitely here, to help somebody kickstart. So like mentors played like a huge role. I don't think I would ever achieve the amount of success I've achieved, because like all I realized that in life, an opportunity shows up, say yes and figure it out. And whenever I said yes to a bigger opportunity which I don't know how to deal with, all I had was people behind me who are my mentors, so I could go back and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, like how would you do it? And they would always lay out a plan. And I would ask five different people, get some ideas, then finalize one game plan which I believe I can pull off, and then execute, then ask any questions, if I'm missing anything or anything like that. And yeah, like I've done podcasting at a very young age. I saw a Pakistani guy, his name is RJ, he's still a good friend of mine, running a podcast, and I didn't know this was even an option. So somebody like me who sound like me is running a podcast. I was like, if he can pull it off and he can, bring those people who have these awards, I was like, I want one of those people to talk to me. And I used to go back and check their Instagram, and they used to have like this $3,000 per hour consulting fees. I was like, no way I have that kind of money. So what else can I pull off to get their consulting? Oh, I could do podcast, just like this guy. So I put that wrapper on. I said, hey, this is my show, the Nikhil Sai Show. Please come on and share your entrepreneur advice. And good enough, like I was good at asking questions and taking a conversation forward. I was able to interview 200 plus millionaires on my podcast, which indirectly directly contributed to my podcast, my knowledge, my coaching, mentorship. I've joined their program, they've joined mine. I've done business with them, bought something from them, they bought something from me. We became affiliate partners. They've invited me to speak at their events. There is just so much business that happened behind the scenes, and I love it. One partnership from podcast can generate lots of revenue. So there's many ways you could monetize a podcast. But yeah, that was my primary way to learn and connect with people. But just that credibility and proof that I show up on a podcast weekly basis builds a lot of trust with your potential clients as well, and like accumulates to create a network that you could really rely on a longer run, and it only gets bigger and better. That's the best part about entrepreneur networks.
Awesome. That's a lovely story. I hear this number a lot from you that I've shot 200 episodes of my podcast. I think it would be great for the audience and for very selfishly for myself as well. Tell me, how many people did you have to reach out to? Give me a rough figure, obviously, that resulted in those 200 podcasts. Like how much effort there is behind scenes that people don't realize. And they only see like 200 episodes and they're like, he's invested XYZ time in it, right? What's the behind the scenes of those?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good question. And life gives you luck to an extent. And the first person you message probably won't be uh, the first episode guest overall. So I think we have done thousands of podcast outreaches. I mean, right now we are doing it at a different scale. I have better criteria about who I'm getting on a podcast with, and we qualify, we filter through, we disqualify a lot of guests at this point, who we don't want to get on a podcast. There is so many unreleased episode as well for some reason, which I really want to like get the best to the market and whatnot. But like for my first podcast, I clearly remember I went into this group. It's called ClickFunnels, the same awards you see behind me, and there was all these people with these awards, and I really wanted to get them on my podcast. So there is something called authority by association. So like if that $1 million guy is on my podcast, I'm building authority indirectly because other people will look at me as an expert. So that was a selfish reason. So I reached out to probably hundreds of two Kamo Club winners, and a decent chunk of them actually converted into appointments and podcast interviews because I had a very strong reason. Like I was not just asking for them to jump on a podcast. I was telling them why it is important, right? Like you have given me a solid reason, like Nick, this is the reason you should jump on my podcast for XYZ, right? Like that's a very key reason. It's not just a podcast, it's more about like why I'm doing this podcast. What are you trying to prove to the world with this podcast, right? And I used to have a very simple straight line, like, hey, I went from this to this, and I really would like to showcase your journey. And I have audience of this size, and a small group of 2,000 entrepreneurs will watch your episode. If you're open to it, we could do a 30-minute quick podcast. That was my easy pitch, and definitely we have reached out to hundreds and hundreds of two combo club winners to get our first few guests. But the first one is the toughest one. Once you get the first one, then everybody below them are so easy because they would look up to that first big guest. They're like, oh, if they had that big person, I'm pretty sure I could fall under them, right? And I used to go up market, meaning like, okay, if I get this person, now I need to use this person to get the bigger guy, right? And that game is what I like to play. And we had $1 billion company CEOs and whatnot on the podcast, which is really fun. And so yeah, that's pretty much how. And it always, like when I see people who say, oh, I want to do something, they try one time and they give up. I'm like, you don't know like how much volume it takes until you try, and you can't know until you actually go through the maximum effort you can, right? Like control the controllable. So if you can outreach 100 people a day, then do 100 people a day until you get the first one, right? Then only you will know, okay, I had to do 1200 reach outs to get the first guest. Yes, that's what it takes to get the first guest. Then maybe the second guest comes at 600 reach outs, then the third guest comes at 200 reach outs, because you're getting better at this. You learn, you build your skill muscle, which makes you better.
Awesome. I love hearing your stories and how all of this came about. You worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, info product owners by this time. What is that one funneling principle that you see that gets 80% of the result for your clients and also for the broader audience and the niche in specific?
Yeah, sure. Most people have this problem of solving problems that don't exist. This is probably the number one reason why many digital business owners fail in their business very early, because they come up with a product or service that doesn't have demand or that doesn't solve a problem. So I'm very B2B focused guy. Like, I actually help businesses make more money or save them more money. And I like to work with businesses who have tangible outcomes, so there is no more guesswork, there is really no more if what kind of situation. It's very clear, like, hey, your software helps them dial 5 times faster. Yes, that's a clear result. Hey, your software can help somebody decrease their churn. Oh, you're investing in real estate and that gives them 8% return. Awesome. Like, you help them lose weight and here is the result. Like, I like to work with offers that have tangible results, and they scale really fast because of they actually solve a real problem. If there is one thing, right, it comes back to the Hermosis $100 million offer, which is like, do they have an actual offer, not just the offer that you give guarantee for and whatnot, make it shiny and whatnot. More like, does your product or service actually solve a problem that people are actively trying to buy for, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, like, you're just selling to nobody, and then you struggle with your marketing cost because it goes up and nobody wants to buy. And you struggle with your sales because even if you book appointments, nobody wants to buy because your offer is not compelling. So that's probably the number one thing which differentiates successful clients with unsuccessful ones. But where is the skill as a marketer and as a consultant to your client comes in, is helping them define their offer. Like, there has been so many projects where we had to be involved to help them scale from that 6 figure roadblock or the 7 figure roadblock, to be like, okay, this offer can only get us to 7 figures because you're super niche, or this is not appealing to mass market. Here is how we change it. Here is how we change the model on how you collect cash. Here is how we change your positioning in the market, and go after a bigger market, charge much higher prices and still deliver better results, right? So that's where your muscle comes in as a strategy consultant, right? And when I started, there was no AI, so we had to like rely on real people and actual experience. But now, like, ChatGPT 5 could be your best friend in terms of dumping your brain and talking to it and getting a lot of ideas. But it really comes down to the offer, and if the client actually is solving a big enough problem. I look for problems that have bigger TAM, like total addressable market. When the TAM is big enough, right, like people are already buying, you don't have to innovate a lot. You just have to make your message clear. That's the offers I love the most, because all you have to do is just dummy it down to fifth grader copy and use a simple funnel that actually converts. And they make a lot of money, you make a lot of money, the customers are happy because it's a tangible outcome that you're selling.
Awesome. That was a lovely answer. You mentioned funnels a moment ago. So, what would you say is your favorite funnels? Because I know every marketer has one or two funnels that they lean in more than others. What is your most favorite funnel to work with if you're just starting working with a client?
Yeah, sure. That's a very interesting question. This would be a little geeky as a marketer myself, so I'll be going into little detailed terms. And bear with me. Use ChatGPT if you need to write something down and reference later. There is many types of funnels. Like, there's lead gen funnels, there is application funnels, there is typical sales funnels, e-commerce funnels, webinar funnels, challenge funnels, workshop funnels. There's like a gazillion amount of funnels. Like, people come up with new funnels all day, every day. And I deal with high ticket. I'm talking about transaction values above 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, $50,000. And especially when you're trying to pay or charge this type of amount, you don't just go and put your credit card on an order page. Like, we are still humans, at least in 2025. We still like to talk to somebody before paying somebody 5, 10, 20 grand. So we pick application funnels for maximum volume and scale. Application funnel meaning you educate your prospect, you create a trusted relationship, then you have them apply to work with you. And then if they qualify, they get on a calendar with you, and then you actually allow them to join your programs. And that kind of really really works. Even right now, people say it doesn't, because again, if you solve a non-existing problem, yes, it doesn't work. But if you actually solve a real problem that people are trying to actively solve and pay for, then it will work. Now, there is many things that goes into making an application funnel super successful. But long story short, keeping a clear and shortcut marketing message, and adding a lot of proof about your delivery system, and really filtering through the wrong people who you don't want to work with. Like, an application funnel should be focused on who you're not working with better than who you're trying to work with. Because if you optimize for repelling all the people who you don't want to work with, then the only applications who will come through are your ideal client profiles. And then it's so easy for you to convert them, charge them more, and also deliver amazing results, which will create the compounding effect. So if I have to pick, we have built several thousand application funnels over the period, which has generated millions and millions of dollars for our clients.
Awesome, great. I build funnels as well for a living. And my biggest struggle is that once we have a funnel that's up and ready and it's working really well, what is that one piece of advice you'd give someone who wants to scale up their funnel at least 10x without breaking the funnel?
Sure. That's an interesting question. It would totally depend on the company and the type of product lineup they actually have, right? Like, because like an e-commerce funnel would have a complete different framework than like a digital product funnel, like an ebook funnel or a course funnel or a challenge funnel. But if we go super specific, right, in terms of like scaling a funnel without breaking, what happens is people think funnel is like the four-step landing page and like that's the funnel, right? Like in reality, like it's not just the funnel, it's the funneling system. What do I mean by funneling? Why did I even name my company Funneling Media? Is it's not just the piece which is called the funnel, it's the entire journey of somebody who doesn't know you, that you know you even exist, to actually becoming a high paying client and retaining with you for longer. And there's several steps involved, right? Starting with creating awareness and attracting them and educating them and giving them value, then sharing something valuable that they would like to obtain and training them enough, educating them enough, building trust, right? Like taking them to the KLT factor, know, like, and trust, and then converting them into a high qualified application, then nurturing with emails and showing case studies and testimonials that they finally watch the VSL or the training you actually created to apply to work with you. And they have to go through financial qualification before they get on the calendar. And then you actually sell them, and then they actually end up paying you high ticket. And then you have a whole customer success mechanism which onboards them, manages them, fulfills that, and actually retains them. There is so many things that need to be fixed, but primarily, if you ask me one thing, you have to pick your offer first and make it very, very clear, tangible result that actually is not over promising but delivers what you're claiming, still a big enough pain that market is willing to pay for, packaged in a unique manner. That's the first thing which will really give the funnel a lot of boost. Then it really comes down to fixing the leakages. What do I mean by leakages? Overcomplicated copy on the landing page, especially above the fold. Like if your above the fold copy is bad, then the landing pages don't convert, right? The more steps in the funnel, the more people will actually bleed out and go back. So you have to keep the funnel short, right? We use just this four-step funnel. People think, oh, to make $100 million from one offer you need 700, 400 steps. Not true. Like, you just keep your funnel simple and it will still work. So fixing the copy, then like keeping the load time fast. Like, this is probably, especially when you're buying paid media, people forget that, oh, it needs to look beautiful, then they add like a lot of images, a lot of videos, a lot of things, which is making the page heavy and slow to load. So you can't do your CRO, right? Like, you have to make your pages light and super fast. And that's another important thing. Then I'm a nerdy guy. Like, I kind of do like a lot of split testing, and like split testing the headlines and button colors and whatnot. But like in the end, like what really matters is like if you have a simple enough, non-confusing journey for your customer to take to the next step. Like, yeah, can we waste our time split testing between red and green buttons? Yes. But in reality, if your offer is not good, no matter how many butter colors you change, it doesn't reflect in your bank account. So you have to keep your offer in the front end, but the remaining things follow.
Awesome. That was a very, very well thought answer. So, if you had to redo everything that you've done in the next 6 months, give me a roadmap of what, and you're starting from scratch, right? You have no following, you have no email list, you don't have a personal brand yet. What would Nick do in the first 6 months to be able to scale his business?
Sure, that's a very good question, actually. So here's where I would start. I would start with, obviously, like, I'm talking ground zero. I have nothing but maybe a phone and a laptop, something like that, with obviously Wi-Fi and somewhere to sit and work. So if that's the basic resources I have, I would invest all of my time and energy in learning AI. Why AI, you might ask? AI is probably the most demanded implementation technology in the next few years. Just for perspective, there is 33 million American businesses. Worldwide, there is millions of more. But all of these businesses are going to transform into AI businesses in the next few years. There is no other way. A regular business, the traditional way and simple Excel sheets and internet don't work anymore. They have to be AI driven. So all of them have this huge demand of requirement of AI implementation in their business. And that's where I would invest my time and energy learning AI, implementing AI, playing with it, being able to build that as a solution for businesses. Again, simplified in two things: can I make them more money using AI, or can I save them more money using AI? So I would probably build a lot of cool stuff. I would document my journey. Then I would post every single day on social media about what I'm trying and how it's helping me and whatnot. And I would just build a lot of prototypes and see which one gets more intent, more value, more intent in terms of engagement and interest. And I would probably pick the most common niches which actually have a lot of people buying. I'm talking very boring service based niches like home services, it could be, or something where I could find somebody very easily. It's not like too niche, because when you're trying to sell to too niche audience, you have to have higher level of skill set. As a beginner, I probably won't have that, so I would sell to most generic niches, and I would go and build custom AI solutions as a demo and show it to people and see if they're interested. Then give them a 30-day free trial, like, hey, try my AI system and see if you could get results. Then I would definitely create a catch with them saying, hey, you should give me a testimonial and you should refer me to a few people, and if you actually get results, you should allow me to document as a case study. I would do that with at least 3 to 5 people. And once I do that, now I've built a validated AI system along with a lot of proof that I can show to other people that I can sell. Then they'll give me referral, they'll give me a case study, they'll give me a testimonial. Then it's time for me to just hammer that group. Let's say if it's a pest control person, let's say if it's somebody else, right? I would just hammer that one niche and go all in too deep and start selling to volume of those audience. And just use the 3 testimonials I have and say, hey, talk to my clients and see if my system actually got them results. I don't really have to sell. All I have to do is demo the AI system I've built and say, hey, my client is booking 16 appointments per week using the system. If I can book you 16 more appointments using the same system for your pest control business, how much revenue would that make? Then I would add it on a screen and say, okay, you'd probably make $8,000, right? I'm not going to charge you $8,000 extra that you're technically losing right now. I'll charge you $2,000. Is that fair? Then boom, that's how I would get my client. I'd probably not start at $2,000, honestly. Like I started at $200, so it's always good. Like 200, then 400, then 800, then 1,600. Like I just kept upping my prices as I build more proof. But that would be my game plan. Just build so much proof and so many testimonials and case studies. Like if you look at funnelingmedia.com, it's just a page of enormous amount of testimonials and case studies. And like when you have a page like that, people don't ask for like, oh, show me your landing page, send me a contract, send me a proposal. No, they just pay you on the call because you built enormous amount of proof. And that's one of the reasons I have my awards behind me, because that's the proof that I deliver what I say, right? So it really comes down to learning AI, selling it to 3 people, or offering it for free in exchange of testimonials and case studies. And as you get your first paying client, keep upping the prices, keep delivering results on what you're promising, and stay true for yourself, and just focus on marketing and fulfillment and sales. These are the 3 core things in any digital business, and I would just rebuild it. And in 6 months, I'm pretty confident that it would be definitely a multi six figure business.
Wow, that was an amazing, amazing answer. You've mentioned AI quite a lot, and I can see that you're very passionate about AI as well. How are you integrating AI in the funnels that you're building already for your clients and for yourself?
Yeah, I'm like so obsessed with AI. Actually, I also co-own a platform called AI Business. So again, I've seen the vision of how AI is going to transform business owners and whatnot. And we're building some cool stuff with AI and businesses. So it's interesting. Long story short, we use AI in almost every section possible right now. Like ChatGPT is my second brain right now. Honestly, it could probably do a better podcast than what I'm doing right now. I'm pretty sure if I add the transcript, it would probably teach me more things I could have done better with my own podcast episode I'm doing right now. But long story short, like we've used AI in many places, starting from like marketing ideas, in like finding the best hooks, or researching client projects and figuring out the niches we should go after, and testing different offers and packagings and whatnot, and creative creation, image ads, video scripts, video ads. We use AI everywhere. Even all of my latest content on Instagram is all made by AI. Like I'm making video sales letters for myself with AI. And the funny part, they're outperforming my legit videos. Like imagine this, like in the next few years, like AI Nick would be able to jump on a podcast and do a much better job than original Nick. Like it is crazy. Like I'm going to speak at an event, like I mentioned, probably in the next few years, like I will be able to send my digital avatar and it would probably do a better job. And who knows, like once Optimus takes up and they could do physical stuff, like it would probably even be a physical robot calling AI Nick, who could do most of the stuff. Like I'm excited actually. I'm a very optimist, in terms of like how I look about AI and whatnot. But yeah, we are using it everywhere, like research, campaign creation, deployment, funnel marketing, copywriting, like everything and everything, like video creation, video editing. Like there is so many AI tools. I don't want to name some tools because people will be fixated on them, and AI is so fast moving. Like it's like you ask me in like 2000s, like, hey, how are you using it, and I would say, yeah, I use Yahoo. But that information is not relevant because in 2004 Google came and like everything changed, right? So I don't want to name any tools, but I believe there is some tools which will be still be around, hopefully. I'm talking like ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, and like these tools definitely. These are like the primary LLMs and AI tools that we are relying on. But then there is just so many more tools we actually use behind the scenes. I'm talking Init and Make, Zapier as well, and there is just so many custom AI tools we are building internally. We call them micro SaaS. With the power of Lovable, Bolt, and what these tools allow us, we're able to build micro tools for our own custom requirement. We use Cloud Code internally for creating our own custom apps, and there is just so many more things we are actually doing. I'm not very non-technical person, and chat gpt and these other CLI tools allow me to just talk in English and be able to create apps and tools and code. It's just insane. I mean, just chat gpt 5, it could write like 1200 lines of code with one prompt. It's just insane. I'm excited. This is going to go so far. But yeah, like that's kind of how I'm using AI right now in everywhere and anywhere possible.
Awesome. That was an amazing answer. I know we're about to hit the clock, so I'll move towards closing this interview. Any last words of encouragement? Any inspirational thoughts that you would like to share with the audience in someone who is on their path to building an info product business but are struggling or just getting started?
Get good. That's what I would say. Because building a business is all about, as an individual, you getting so good that you will undeniably win. And the problem is, many people start their journey with some motivation and excitement, but then they really miss the original piece of actually getting good at their craft. Now, no matter how much you believe in yourself and you sit down and you manifest, if you're not actually getting good at your own craft, which means in the craft of business, which is delivering value to people who are paying you, right? Like that's what entrepreneurship, you exchange, like value, in terms of like a service which can actually deliver them good result. So get good at the craft and really be consistent with it. Like a lot of people just start and they quit too fast, and I don't recommend just dropping out or dropping your job and getting into entrepreneurship. This is no movie scene which I'm talking about. I'm really talking about like build it so strong. I mean, with the power of AI, like you don't have no excuses. Like you'll be able to build a very successful business even with very limited time. So just learn AI, be adaptable, be super flexible. Like there's some trends come and go, so you have to be okay with things changing and be super adaptable. Just get so good that doesn't matter the situation, you will figure it out. So that's probably my biggest advice, which is get as good as possible. And the fastest way to get good is learn. Just be a learning machine, and just like it used to be very hard to learn any concept, but right now just go into ChatGPT, turn on voice mode, and ask any question, and it probably answers much better than me. So you have it right there, and anything else you're making is just an excuse. So get over yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. You have had an amazing journey so far, and we are cheering for you. And I can't wait to see what world has in store for you next. Thank you so much for jumping on this call and sharing some insightful value to the audience and also to myself.
Yeah, I'm glad, Sahar. I'm glad I was able to add value. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye. Bye. Bye.